So once again, I'm live and what the hell, the grief? Judicial Brown. I got a guy who hasn't been on my show in a while. I named Gavin. So without further ado, let's bring him in. How you doing, brother?
Hey Bernard, how are you doing? I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't know. You've been busy doing comedy shows. You've been on the move. I see you putting out good shows and good content. I hadn't had you on in a while, but
No.
I need a lawyer to talk to tonight, and I needed a judge. He should be coming on in a few
Well,
minutes, I guess.
I'm here. I am here, and I thank you for having me come on, man.
Yeah. And once again, y'all cash app $ Gavin Rashad Esquire. He's been doing a lot of stuff, and right now, I just say they say we all we got because this political division is starting to come to a head.
Yeah. That it is. If you could, Bernard, could I plug in my book as well? That's available on Amazon Kindle.
Do what you gotta do, man. Hey, that's yeah. Why not? Spice too.
All right. Well, there we go. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I have my book available on Amazon Kindle, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr. The destruction of due process in the United States took me about 2.5 years to complete the book, and I would appreciate everybody would buy it. It's basically about what happened to Bill Cosby, America's dad. I still call him America's dad because they tried now to give Tom Hanks that title. They gave it to Bob Saget, and the thing is, Bill Cosby is the reason why many of those networks are still around today. Why they modeled the family orientated uh, shows, sitcoms that you saw in the late 80s and 90s, like Full House and Growing Pains, Family Matters, and so forth. The Seven Heaven, that was modeled off of Cosby because in 1984, around that time, the sitcoms were thought to be dead because shows like Dynasty, Magnum PI, and Dallas ruled the airwaves, especially on CBS. CBS was kicking NBC's ass, and NBC was near bankruptcy until Cosby came along and did the Cosby Show, and I think it did tie All in the Family's record for number one show for show for 5 years in a row. So I have that. Please go and get that. Purchase that. Please purchase it. Also, go to Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com. That's where you can get my seasoning. Try it on chicken, meat, or fish. Nawny's goes great with every dish. But no, I don't think you've ever ordered my seasoning just yet.
Yeah, that's the one thing I got to do. Actually, I sent you cash app, but I remember I kept on asking about it, and then it didn't have it. Now you finally got it, so I had to order it.
Yeah, on the website, if you go to Nawny'sCreoleBlends.com, NONIS Creole CREOLE blends.com. You can order some. We also have a Instagram page, Nawny Cree Blends, Nawny's Cree Blends. So you can look me up that way as well and follow and support. So thank you for letting me do the plugins, brother.
Ain't no problem. But you were talking about the good thing you talked about Bill Cosby because that was where I was going to. You said destruction due process, right?
Yeah.
Well,
his birthday is tomorrow, by the way, too. He'll be 85.
Yeah. And guess what? On Saturday, I'll be 35.
Happy early birthday. And you July babies, you cancers, huh?
Nah, that's what they call it, man. But
yeah. Judge Joe Brown is July as well.
Yeah, the 5th. So let's bring something in here that's a little interesting. He said destruction due process, but I'm not going to say destruction due process per se, but I'm going to say more so of, can we say mob justice maybe with what's going on with Morton Steakhouse and Kavanaugh after the Roe versus Wade thing. We had a guy right here in Richmond down the street. They started protesting. We're not protesting. They just said we're not coming back to your business because he said I support, the decision. So forth. But people don't need to be bullied down, you protesting the restaurant because of my opinion. Like this group called Shut Down DC. and I want you to look them up. They're nonprofit. Actually, I'm gonna pull them up in a minute. Or you can pull them up yourself if you want to right now when I'm talking. Shutdowndc.org. They are like a group of climate activists, environment activists, but they were out there protesting. And what they're saying is, we'll give you $50 if you see them, you spot a Supreme Court justice or somebody, a conservative justice at a restaurant. And if you're there for 30 minutes, we'll give you $200 or something like that if you're there when you come or something. Mm-hmm. So they're basically paying people to basically tell them where they at so they can come and, harass the business, do whatever they want to do.
Well, they have it right here. I just shared it with you. Yeah, shutdown SCOTUS. I mean, first and foremost, you're not going to shut down the Supreme Court. I mean, you have a right to protest, but this is just a nothing burger of people for attention. The other thing is that it is a crime just to threaten the life. And I don't know if they have done it, but I have seen individuals who've done it that threaten the lives of a sitting Supreme Court justice or even a federal judge. It violates the United States Code. It's a federal offense. It's just like if you threaten the president of the United States. You can't do that. These are elected. They're not necessarily elected officials, but there are laws against that. I'm not a fan of the Supreme Court necessarily, and I've never been a fan of Clarence Thomas. But I find it interesting, Bernard, that they made Clarence Thomas the face of this of the Dobbs versus Jackson women's health care with that decision. The last time I checked, the Supreme Court is majority rules. There were 6 justices that voted overturning Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Not just Clarence Thomas. Clarence wrote the concurring opinion, and what they're upset about and what is causing them, giving them cause to pause is the fact that he mentioned in his concurring opinion about looking at the Obergefell decision, which was same-sex marriage, looking at Griswold, which was the case that allowed contraceptions. There was another case, and it's off the tip of my tongue, that allowed Griswold was with contraceptions with married couples. Then there was another case with unmarried couples. Then there was also the Lawrence versus Texas, which overruled sodomy laws. That case overturned Georgia versus Bauer, which was, they said there was no fundamental right to, he hate to say it, but fundamental right to sodomy. Just think of that. But actually what it was they have it under the umbrella of a fundamental right to privacy. So what they've done is taken the right to privacy and extended it to other things. We have to understand something, Bernard, and ask the question and define what is a right. What exactly is a right? Where do rights come from and who gets them? We got stuff called animal rights. Animal rights, they got tree rights. I mean, we got animals that got more rights than blacks in this country. You had a judge, I'll never forget, a couple years ago that said a chimpanzee had a right like a human being, some judge in New York. So we have to determine where do rights come from, and rights, if you believe in God and they come from God, then you know that God gives man rights, the rights to life, liberty, property, and even in our Declaration of Independence, they say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right?
Yeah.
But the pursuit of happiness doesn't mean I have a right to do something immoral. That's not a civil right. There's no civil right to lie. There's no civil right to commit adultery. There's no civil right to kill. And truth be told, it's what it is ultimately about. It's about sex without consequences.
Yeah. So let me bring that up to you. Because I want to talk about something about this. See, I know why they brought that Obergefell decision up. Because you think about it, you remember you just said sodomy, right?
Yeah.
Well, Well, if you're approving gay marriage, then you got to be. It's like you're approving sodomy. So it's kind of like it's almost 1-for-1 and all for all on that. So that's easy to figure out. But they're gonna make it more than what it is. Like, he's gonna take away your right for interracial marriage, and he's gonna do this, and he's gonna do that.
I know Clarence ain't gonna vote against that.
I know he ain't. That's what they saying.
If it comes to that, but I mean, and if they did that, then I don't know if that would happen. Every white woman in this country would boycott because they know they can't get that NBA player anymore. If they did that, I think that will be a problem.
Well, I know you've been talking about it in your show. Let's put the WNBA on there. They've been having the massive protests for Brittney Griner. Oh, she's a victim of justice and this, that, and the third. And if she was LeBron, she'd be free, and all that other good stuff they keep talking about. Like, I'm like, yo, you got more people locked up with more importance over here to me than Brittney Griner. What's the problem? I'm just asking.
Well, that's all agenda driven, brother. It's agenda driven. First and foremost, if this were the United States and this happened in the United States, all she would have done was I don't even think she would have done community service. It's cannabis oil that she had. I mean, some states that's not even illegal, but in states where it were, all she'd be looking at is like a fine. She would have been gotten credit for time served for what she did. Certainly if this were here in Louisiana, and it wouldn't have been anything. She went to a foreign nation with illegal drugs in her luggage, claiming that she didn't have time to remove them and she was packing too fast. When you go to these different nations, and people got to understand, if you've seen a movie called, I think it's called Broke Down Palace, that was made in early 2000, late 90s. It was about these two white girls who got hooked up with the wrong dude who put heroin in their luggage and set them up. They have draconian laws in a lot of these countries that, if you smuggle drugs into, for instance, like Thailand or so forth, you could be subject to the death penalty. Now, for us, we of course think that's extreme, but every nation has a right to its sovereignty and their laws. They have a right to enforce this. You have this here. This is illegal. Do I think she should come home? Me personally, yeah, I do. But I'm not comparing her putting her as a political prisoner like Mumi Abu Jamal or Angela Davis or some bullshit like that is beyond me. She's a WNBA player that went there smoking weed. That she
a wife beater,
huh?
She's a wife beater.
Oh, she's a wife beater. Well, wife or husband beater, whatever they call themselves. Yeah, wife beater, whatever. She doesn't like men. She doesn't like this country. She voted for Joe Biden thinking she would get something out of it. Biden ain't gonna do shit. Biden said he talked to they were so upset. The wife was upset about Biden not calling him. And he finally did, obviously to save face. He brings Kamala Harris out all the time trying to do stuff. She came out to Essence Fest out in New Orleans.
No, she didn't.
She did.
Wow.
One. Essence Fest is owned by, Essence Fest is Essence Fest. It's the biggest black event in the city. Now, don't get me wrong. I like some of the stuff, this entertainment. And, I actually had to work in the convention center with my group because we do stuff with mentoring. So it's a part of that. And, some people, of course, I don't like seeing these I'm not going to lie, it's a Democratic, I'm trying to find the right word, but it's a way to draw black people in to come and vote and do Democrat. It's certainly subservient to the Democrats in some ways and stuff that they have. However, let me say this: during the festival, they actually were talking about that Roe v. Wade decision and trying to blame it on black men, and people were booing it. They weren't feeling these people coming out talking about women's rights. That had nothing to do with us. But you know, you Brittney Griner comparing her with LeBron. You know, I saw him say that LeBron, if this were LeBron, the world would be moving, would stop. If it were LeBron James, LeBron James wouldn't have put himself in that position. LeBron James,
man.
LeBron James is smart enough. Wait, hold on 1 second, Bernard. LeBron James is smart enough as a multi-billionaire. He's not going to go to another nation with drugs. If anything, if he does do it, although he doesn't, you know, he'd have his homies buy the stuff.
Okay.
But he wouldn't have done that.
Let me bring something to you right here. That is so asinine that she came out there to the Essence Fest. But I know what they're trying to do. But you know what? I think New Orleans, don't they have like what they call it, the Creole people or something like that in that area, something like that?
I'm Creole.
Okay.
Family members, yeah.
Well, somebody might have mistaken her for that. I'm just joking. But you know what I'm saying.
I don't think anybody mistake her for that. I think it's just the fact it's part of that little sister girl. I mean, it's Essence Magazine. Essence Magazine, as you know, was written and made up for Black women. You know, at one point, Essence Magazine used to be very respectful. They had, you know, it delivered in elegance and class and so forth. And then, if you remember, a couple years ago or last year, they had Billy Porter on the cover, like a woman.
Yeah, there you go. But what I'm saying is, she's coming there. She's trying to get some brownie points.
She's trying to get black people out to vote for. They're trying to get black people out to vote for the midterm elections this year. And
Maxine Waters, you'll see black women out there by the thousands. And Al Green says that don't think that men won't be out there too. Well, what you just told me just now, they won't feeling it. So something ain't right here.
No, they weren't. What happened was during the concerts, they put on the screen that woman's lib stuff and about Roe v. Wade. Yeah, and the audience just wasn't feeling what they had to say.
That's good.
Audience was not feeling it. They didn't come here for that. Put on New Edition, motherfucker. We don't care about no Roe v. Wade shit.
But look though, Gavin. You see what I'm saying? They love bringing political posturing into the mix. See? Yeah. But I wanted to do something because me and you have always talked about this. We've had it in our conversation on the phone. We've had it on a show. So today, this morning, I was doing some research. And they were talking about they can start giving the WNBA chartered flights and all this other stuff. You know what I'm talking about, right? They know. We're gonna give them more.
Give them more money, pay them more.
For the playoffs, yes. But so you know they wore the jersey for her. So I went and looked it up. They were founded in 1996. David Stern was the founder.
Mm-hmm. Former NBA commissioner.
Yeah, they had 12 teams, right? Okay. But they lost a few teams. So as I go down, the Houston Comets were the dominant team at the time. So as I go down, I'm trying to find this. Well, here it is. The NBA was giving them $10 million one time. So over the since 2010, they've lost during the mid-2000s, the NBA spent more than $10 million to keep the WNBA finances solid. In 2007, they were estimated losing $1.5 million to $2 million a year. The league projected loss through the 2010 season to be around $400 million due to lack of viewership. Okay. Now, they say they're the most socially progressive league. That's what they say. You know, they had Vote Warnock on, so they obviously into Democratic stuff. Their sponsorships are LifeLock.
Oh, Ralph Warnock?
Yeah, him, yeah.
Oh, Raphael.
Um,
the pimpin' pulpit.
He preaching at Boys and Pulpit too. So I'm trying to find. Okay, the minimum league salary in 2020 was $57,000. Players left 3 years experience. For 2020, for most players, the 2020 NBA the maximum salary was $185,000. Players who met specified criteria for league service got a maximum of $215,000. So now I'm getting down to merchandise, top jersey sales. They have 144 players in the league, so they don't have a lot of players. That's 144 players.
It's basically a failed product, Bernard.
Well, yeah. I'm getting to that. I'm getting to the attendance now. The average attendance of a game is 7,955 to 7,457. So basically, and it's actually dropped.
I'm sorry, but what's that compared to NBA attendance?
It's more than 10,000 to 13,000 people lost there. 6,769, 6,535. So it actually dropped to 6,000 over the years. Now, this was my thing, and I wanted to say this. Mm-hmm. They got to deal with CBS now and this stuff. CBS reached a deal to televise 40 regular season weekend games in prime time that beginning 2019 season. But what I'm saying, I was reading all that. This product should have been disbanded, and you got more people probably watching NBA Summer League right now than watching this. I'm just telling you, right?
Yeah. Well, what it is that it's boring. They don't do layups. They don't do dunks. There's nothing exciting about it. The thing is, people, even when they put it on ESPN, I remember I talked about it on my show. There was a time back in 2010, they put the championship on ESPN, which, of course, is the worldwide leader in sports. And they put it during the prime time, on a prime time. And they said it flopped. They didn't even have like 100,000 people watching it. So how they get paid, how you make money is you have sponsors. Like everything else, you have different sponsors in the National Football League. Remember, like Papa John's, and I can't think of some others. Papa John's, and you might have Burger King, McDonald's, whoever. Microsoft, I believe, does stuff with the NFL. Yeah, they do things like that. There are sponsors that do that. And in the NBA, you have the other sponsors, and the athletes who do the commercials for Nike, Adidas, and so forth. That's in there. You have the restaurants even that do the sponsorships. Former athletes who do commercials and advertisement. There's stuff that's bought up, that TV time, Gatorade. They go to stuff like this because they know these athletes could push product. Michael Jordan would push product. Kobe Bryant would push product. And LeBron James, he pushes product. Who on the WNBA can push a product?
Nobody.
Yeah, nobody. And then the other thing too is a lot of people, I've heard this from some men just talk. A lot of men don't like watching it because the women, I'm sorry, some of them are not that attractive. I'll just put it like that. Like they have a few who are cute, but Candace Wiggins, I was reading something she said that was very interesting. She said that she quit the league because 95% of it was lesbian, and she was a heterosexual woman there getting flirted on, and she didn't like it. They got a few cute ones, like Dwight Howard's old lady. Oh, she's cute.
Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah, she's cute. Candace Wiggins is a good-looking woman, but yeah, she just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, Skylar Diggins was nice looking too.
Who?
And one named Skylar Diggins, she was nice looking too.
Yeah, she's good. Skylar Diggins is. I think she was. Skylar Diggins is nice. Skylar Diggins Smith.
Well, all I'm saying is I understand what you're saying, and that's the problem that they have. Now, you got to talk about a topic that's been going on. As you know, in New York City, the Supreme Court ruled on that you can concealed carry, but then they tried to go around it, circumvent it, saying they want to check your social media handle and stuff like that. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, that's Skylar Giggins right there.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, she's cute.
She retired or she's still playing?
I believe she is. It says here she's still playing. She plays for Phoenix.
Okay, so she plays with Brittney Griner.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
She's married to a man.
Well, that's good. She's married to a man. She made the right decision. But
I wonder if they flirt with her, like what Candace Wiggins was saying.
Well, let me say something. I'm gonna bring up this Supreme Court decision in New York with this.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're all right. You're all right. Don't worry about that. No, I'm glad you put the picture up because I didn't know she was married. Actually, I just had her call it so she had to Smith to her name, so that's good. Well, let me bring up this point about the Supreme Court with the New York case. Yes, Frank, you're right. You cannot go in most places with the concealed carry in most places. Yes, because they got a social media law where they're saying that, they don't want you to use it and something like that. So it is what it is. They don't want you to, they got to check. They want to check your social media handle or something like that. I saw that. It's a weird law. And they didn't do anything to try to circumvent the Second Amendment. And, me and Gavin, we've talked about the New World Order before and stuff like that. So that's even worse. I mean, it is. Right. So what is this?
Oh, that's just the article I was going to share with you. But yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what Candace Wiggins was talking about. She said she played in the league in 2015. That was her last year. And she said retired prematurely to leave a league that she estimated wildly is 98% lesbian and which is played in such isolation that it weighs on the people on the court. It wasn't like my dreams came true in the WNBA. It was quite the opposite. I wanted to play 2 more seasons of WNBA, but the experience didn't lend itself to my mental state. It's depressing. It was a depressing state in the WNBA. It's not watched. Our value is diminished. It can be quite hard. I didn't like the culture inside the WNBA, and without revealing too much, it was toxic for me. My spirit was broken. She said there was a lot of jealousy and competition, and we were all fighting for crumbs. So the highest in attendance that it ever had was 7,655.
Hey, how you doing, Judge?
Hey, what's going on, people?
Oh, Judge Joe Brown.
How you doing?
Sir, what's going on? How are you?
We were having a little axe to grind about Brittney Griner since you were talking about it. They're talking about the WNBA in attendance and all that, and how 98% of the league is lesbian and stuff like that. I know you, Judge. You said you're not too fond of Brittney Griner decision making, and you're not too worried about it. And you said Al Sharpton shouldn't be pushing for her to come home.
Yeah, and she's not worth trading some spot or save that for somebody that's done something for the country.
Well, Al Sharpton says he wants to get a clergy over there and stuff like that.
Oh, Al Sharpton, tell him to go. We shall over, like this dude. Like, please get over it.
Yeah.
Be relevant. See, you save a prisoner exchange like that for somebody that is one of your top spies or somebody that's been doing some espionage work behind the lines for the country, not somebody that walks in with cannabis oil, which in the amount she had is equivalent to hashish. See, so, she'd get busted on a felony if she was in an American airport. And as I understand it, it was the dog sniffed her out anyway. So,
So
She
why is she
said,
telling Joe Biden not voting for you?
what's that?
Why is she telling Joe Biden not voting for you?
So
She got
damn
played.
what? So damn what? I hope somebody voted for the son of a bitch. Incompetent jerk. Jackass in chief.
Well, I'm going to say this, Judge. And Gavin said something to me very interesting before you came on. And I did not know this. And I never probably would have paid attention. He's in New Orleans. He's saying that Kamala Harris came to the Essence Festival to show her face, to get you to vote for them.
Show her ass, but it still ain't worth voting for. She never was that fine.
You can explain to him, Gavin, if he missed it.
This ain't a Miss America contest any damn way. So, I mean, she wouldn't win that. She's incompetent. She's lazy. She wants to flash her ass and some thigh when she wants something. But like the Europeans say, she's embarrassingly inept, ill-informed, ill-advised, and inarticulate. She throws word salad at everything. You know, just mixes up some words in a bowl, tosses it around, and throws it out. You're supposed to go for it. Okay. And her staff has been leaving her saying she's lazy as hell. They stay up all night trying to prepare these briefings, and she's too damn lazy and trifling to read the stuff. So she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
Neither does the press secretary, the Haitian press secretary they got. She doesn't know anything either, does she? But
she's incompetent. She's grossly, probably the worst vice president in history, along with the worst president.
You know what? Her ratings are beneath Spiro Agnew's. Spiro Agnew was Tricky Dick Nixon's VP, and Spiro did time in a state penitentiary and in a federal penitentiary for his crime. So her ratings are worse than that. Biden's are the worst for any president in the last half century. And every time that's happened, you have a slaughter in the midterms. So the Democrats, the jackasses, are about to get their ham hocks handed to them. So, you know, a little rough trade, I guess. But all that shit they're doing with January 6th, you know, oh, look, they're worse than us. No, And see, the other thing is they haven't done anything to crack down on this bit about these idiots camped out in front of the houses of these Supreme Court justices. See, that's more serious than misdemeanor trespass and vandalism. January 6th. And if any idiot read American history, there were a lot worse episodes that have gone on in D.C. around the Capitol building. Go back to the 60s.
Well, Judge, before you came on, me and Gavin were talking about a group called Shut Down D.C. That's the group that's organizing the protests.
Yeah. They all put in jail. And
they told Morgan Steakhouse, you should be serving Kavanaugh.
Yeah, and see, the justices ought to find them in contempt and then have them drug in. They can do that because it's interfering with the court process. They're attempting to directly interfere with the justices. That's contempt of court. So they ought to bust them.
Well, I look at it in two ways here. I look at it because they're saying if you see them, we give you $50, but if you be there for 30 minutes and we see you, we will pay you $200. That is almost like, I mean,
that's stalking. See, that's stalking.
That's what it is. But
and the bottom line is the justices ought to issue show cause for contempt and have the marshals serve it.
Well, I told you, Joe,
that are in federal courts.
Yeah,
we had a brother down here that had a coffee shop, and he's at the Almighty business, but they were acting about going and protesting business. So what I'm saying, fine. If the person has a different opinion, it is what it is. If you want to protest, fine. But when you start talking about actually calling Morton's and, you know, talking about you don't serve them and stuff like that, and, you know, you're starting to get like, that's real. Well, Morton would have did it. They would have been fast. But Morton said, our job is to only sell steaks and stuff and do what we got to do. We're not getting into your political banter.
It's fascist.
It is fascist.
Decal. That's what it's all about.
And
like I had a visiting professor emeritus I was a teaching assistant for at UCLA 55 years ago. She said America is in grave danger of becoming a fascist country. As she put it, not from some jackboot wearing, goose stepping thugs, but from some, as she put it, pink panty wearing, long haired beatniks.
Triggers. And I've been seeing them out there. Now, so
they don't goose step, they switch and twitch.
Before you came on, Gavin was talking about this thing with Clarence Thomas when he said we might have to revisit same-sex marriage and all that. See, so that's more
I
what
never
we're worried
see
about.
any justification for it any damn way. I always thought anything that was necessary to make arrangements in a gay marriage could have been done in a contract between the two parties. They don't have to mess that up. See, marriage is a human institution that doesn't have anything to do with same sex. It is at least theoretically about rearing offspring so that you bring two groups of people together where the offspring becomes a relative of each side. So that being the case, they can't even do that theoretically.
The word matrimony in and of itself, it comes from a Latin term. It means state of motherhood. Matri is mother. So state of motherhood, two men can't be a mother. A man may be a motherfucker, but he can't be a mother. But I mean, and I mean, to each his own, but yeah, like the judge said, they already, and here was the thing, Judge, what they had and asked for was a redefinition of the word marriage. They actually had a right to marry who they wanted to. They just had to marry someone of the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Just like you can't marry more than one person.
Well, look at the ramifications. If same sex can marry, what happens to this prohibition against incest, which is intended to prevent the conception and gestation of defective humans? See, who gets screwed up, which is what happens when brother and brother, sister and sister, mom and son, or son and or father and daughter. That's crazy. Yeah. But you see, when the reason for the rule ceases to exist, so does the rule, application of the rule. So since same sex can't get married, what is wrong with two male siblings getting married, or two female siblings getting married, or a mother and a daughter getting married, or a father and a son getting married? But then you do that, you have an equal protection argument, see, that develops. Well, what about us queer folk here who are really freaked out? I want to marry my sister and I'm a guy, she's a girl, but if you can let siblings who are gay get married, why can't you let straight siblings get married? And you waive this thing about inbreeding and degeneracy and all that other stuff. What if we promise not to have children? Can brother and sister get married, or mom and son, or
there was actually a case
daughter?
Yeah, there was actually a case like that. It actually went to, it didn't go anywhere other than that, but it was in the federal court. And just thinking, someday somebody could argue that. I've seen people who have, I saw a story on the internet where a mother and daughter were dating. Stuff like that is sickening, but that stuff.
They have sick people in the world.
Yeah, but can they make an equal protection argument?
Well, I'm saying they could if you but see, the reason for the rule doesn't apply when you've got gay marriage because they can't reproduce.
Right.
So there is no reason to have the sanction against relatives marrying each other if it's the same sex. But if you let same-sex relatives marry each other, what do you do about the real freaks who are opposite sex who want to marry close relatives? See, they get the benefit of the argument. Well, why did you let them get married in the first place? But I'm not so much worried about Clarence Thomas's thoughts on we have to revisit gay marriage. I don't give a damn. But frankly, this other thing that I do give a damn about is too much of the Fourth Amendment's caught up in privacy rights. You know, the phone booth and where you expect to have privacy, you should have it. You can't break that unless you have a search warrant or a wiretap warrant. So when you throw this implied right of privacy, which is inherent in the Fourth Amendment, which I think is part of the cockamamie crap that Clarence Thomas comes up with all the time. Anyway, I'm not a fan, though I did like what he did with the Second Amendment recently with that mess out of New York. But
yeah, we were just talk about that. But
Clarence Thomas, I mean, he and Scalia was supposed to be brilliant. I never thought so, because when you read his decisions, it didn't offer anybody any guidance, and it was always him relying on his own dissent,
right?
Dissents, plural, as though they were precedents, which they are not. And the other thing is he always relied on stuff to be decided on an ad hoc basis without setting any principle, and that's not what the Supreme Court is supposed to be about.
Right. I didn't care for Scalia. Yeah, Scalia was terrible.
He's a jerk.
He was an asshole. He's deceased. Who else? The one that retired a couple of years ago. He was always the swing vote. Kennedy.
Yeah.
I didn't care for him.
I didn't like him either. He's wishy-washy.
Right. He was
bounced around too damn much.
Yeah. You don't think Ketanji Brown gonna be wishy-washy?
Oh, she's gonna be left.
What are you? Can you define a woman? No, I don't. See, that's a signal to the tranny crowd that she's supposed to be in their back pocket. That's what that's all about.
Yeah, it was a dog.
He could have said, I'm a woman. God damn it. That was so lame. And I know several black women who are federal appellate judges who would have been much more qualified than Ketanji, Jackson or whatever.
Ketanji Brown Jackson, yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you don't have to be an appellate judge. And when you take it out that way, there are a lot more black women who I think would have been far more qualified. One was on the Sixth Circuit. She was an appellate judge, Sixth Circuit Judge Justice Bernice Donald. And the other one I can think of is Judge Roger E. Clifton on the Second Circuit. Would have been much better.
You don't even have to be a judge. You just have to have a law license.
Yeah.
Degree.
Well, you don't even technically need a law degree. There's nothing written into the Constitution that says you have to, and it's up to Congress.
Right. That's true too.
And one of the things I don't like about this Supreme Court, totally don't like, is they have too few in there with any significant trial practice. And nobody in there was sitting across the table from an individual, small type man in the streets, proletariat client.
Yeah.
But we'll get into this New York case, Judge. And while the Supreme Court did rule, the New York City is saying now they want to check your social media handle to make sure.
They want access to be given to your social media. That's none of their goddamn business. Now, if you do something sufficiently crazy, yeah. But you see, where they're angling at is there are a lot of veterans who are getting up in years. They're perfectly sane. Nothing wrong with them, but they've got people handling their affairs. So some idiots in certain parts of the country were trying to say, oh, that would disqualify them from possessing a firearm. They're losing their mental competence. No, they're not. They just have somebody handling their affairs because they got tired of fooling with it. Rich folk do that all the time.
He said they tried to be like a Gestapo.
Jawohl, Herr Kapitän, das ist wunderbar, ja? Ach, over Deutschland, ja?
So I got to ask both of y'all a question here.
Gavin,
you go ahead and first. there was I know Gavin had you on like a month, so I never really got to sit and expound on this R. Kelly thing. What were your thoughts on it? I know you know it's kind of crazy.
I would have given him more damn time.
You would have.
Okay.
The only time I got reversed partially 4 times in 10 years by the state Supreme Court. One of them was I gave this sick son of a bitch 25 years for sodomizing his 11-year-old stepson. And the Supreme Court said it wasn't the worst case they could envision, so they reduced it to 20.
Yeah.
Now, he can't explain away Aaliyah. And I know there are some parents that are complicit with what went on, and they need to be prosecuted too, but
Aaliyah is deceased.
Him for being an illiterate, somebody who can't read and write and can't handle being around a grown woman. He's got to have somebody that's either a bimbo or a child that he can lord it over because he can't handle a strong woman.
Yeah.
And then the other thing he's sick, but not defensively sick. What was it? His sister was bragging about seducing him. So he's a wacko anyway.
But Judge, in this instance with the federal charges, these weren't minors that they were talking about. The only one, Aaliyah, Aaliyah is deceased, and he was married to her. Although I personally felt that all the people that were complicit with that should have gotten in trouble. But I mean, going back through history, and I'm not defending it, but a lot of those rock stars messed with teenagers.
Then they ought to have been in jail.
Elvis
Presley and
Chuck Berry.
No, I wasn't thinking of Chuck Berry. There,
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis. He used to live He used to live on the same lake with a law partner of mine, now deceased.
Yeah. Well, he's from Louisiana. He's from my home state.
Yeah, but he also married his girl down in Mississippi, and he lived in Tennessee right out here in Memphis for a long time. So, I mean, it's sick. It's sick as hell.
But what the
hell's wrong with you? You got to marry a cousin who's 14 years old? Something's wrong with you.
Right. Yes, that was just sick. I mean, even Elvis was messing with Priscilla when she was 14.
Frank wants to know why nobody else got convicted.
Nobody else got convicted because it was 60-some years ago. That's why.
I think he's talking about with R. Kelly. And my thing, here's my thing with R. Kelly, especially the fact that he's illiterate. That tells me right there, he's not a mafia, this mastermind that they had said that he was under the RICO and Mann Act. And,
it might be a stretch, but the point is if they I used to have a lot of clients.
But it's appealable.
Mann Act for taking prostitutes across this Mississippi bridge from Memphis, Tennessee to West Memphis, Arkansas.
I'm doing that.
But Judge, one of the women went to his house that he was convicted under, so it wouldn't fall under a Mann Act.
Under the Mann Act requires close reading. There's a lot they can do with that. And basically, the Mann Act came into being along with the FBI. And the FBI's first task was to get Jack Johnson, the first black world heavyweight champion, because he had all of this entourage of white women. And as a matter of fact, how they got him was he had a wife who happened to be white. But when they traveled across a corner of Georgia for 15 minutes to get to a seaport before going to Europe, when they crossed out of Georgia, they arrested him because Georgia did not recognize interracial marriage. So that's how they busted Jack Johnson. And he got convicted, but he escaped, was living happily in France until his idiot mama said, "Oh, baby, Mama wants to see you one last time." And he tried to sneak back in, got caught, had to flatten the time. And he got killed in a car wreck, they say, in 1946. So Jack Johnson was kind of the Muhammad Ali for the first part of the century.
Right. They told Jack Johnson actually tried to train Joe Louis, wanted to, and they told him, "Nah, you got to stay away," because Joe Louis was going to be the one that got the championship and did it, was silent, didn't brag. They gave him instructions about not even taking a picture with a white woman. He couldn't do anything like that. He couldn't brag over his opponents, couldn't talk trash, nothing like that. But Jack Johnson,
they wound up screwing him up because he donated so much money to
the United States government.
Yeah, the defense effort in World War II, and the jackasses sat there and jacked him around. Hell, the president could have pardoned him, and that was unforgivable for Truman not to have done that.
Well, it even went beyond Truman, because when he was an old man, Joe Louis was actually refereeing matches. The IRS would come in and take his money. Right?
Yeah, I know. That should have that was just wrong. He donated it to UFOs. So
and he served. He gave up his
he was a sergeant in the Army.
This is Sugar Ray Robinson too.
They assigned Jackie Robinson down in Texas where
they were Sugar Ray.
Yeah, they sent they sent Jackie Robinson out of UCLA to the 10th Cavalry, and then they transferred him from the 10th Cavalry to the 761st Armored Regiment, and Joe Louis was assigned down there as a sergeant with that training unit, the 761st Armored Regiment. They never sent him.
Yeah. Right. That was the Black Panther Tank Battalion,
Yeah, Patton's Panthers, they called it.
Yeah.
And that's where they got the symbol for the Black Panther Party. The Deacons for Defense and Justice down Lodge County, your neck of the woods, had that same emblem, because some of them had been in the 761st. And then the Black Panther Party used that when it started up. Same emblem. They got it from the 761st Armored Regiment, which, by the way, is the second most highly decorated U.S. Army unit in history on the regimental level. The first was one of those Japanese Nisi in Italy in World War II.
So I got a subject that's been going on. It's been going through my mind. Like I said, I turned 35 Saturday, and this is as bad as I've ever seen it as far as men. I tell you, I'd be looking at these guys and be out at the gym. I mean, they just be saying some crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, man, what is going on? The 23-year-old from when I was 23-year-old is way different today. The 18-year-old is way different. They're actually very entitled, and they actually act very scared as well.
They also act a little, those tight pants and all that mess and all that damn bling and no bang, unless they got 8 bullets for their 17-shot Glock,
Why the men so emotional, Judge?
Because they've been getting acclimated. You see, it's up to society to train the children to be as they're supposed to be. When you've got a male, I mean, the boy might want to wear mommy's high-heeled shoes, but you have to tell him, no, son, you don't wear those. Those are for girls. You have to correct him, not say, oh, he wants to be a girl. Hell, he hasn't had a heart on. How the hell does he know?
Yeah. I was watching an interview, and I don't know if you saw it, Gavin. They're trying to counsel her too, but I think she's apologized now. Macy Gray had an interview. Huh?
I already know who you're talking about.
Macy Gray had an interview with Piers Morgan, who they tried to cancel. And she said that she'll call you a he or she if you want to, but she said that really you can't be a woman. So they tried to counsel her over that. So I think she's come and apologized since then. Matter of fact, I know she's come and apologized since then.
She got an album coming out. That's why she did that.
Well, I told Hollywood to go fuck off. I quit. Fuck you. I quit. Anyway, see, what good is a tranny for anyway? If he's trying to be a woman, he can't bear young, so he's not acting as a man. So what the hell is he good for except he's a freeloader? He's not pulling his load, and the rest of the men have to cover for his ass. He can't do what a woman does because he can't get knocked up, and he can't breastfeed or anything like that. He doesn't suffer from periods. He doesn't suffer from raging hormonal imbalances and get to acting crazy and have migraine headaches and all that crap. Doesn't go through menopause. So what the hell is it good for? And when the female is trying to sit there and say, she's a man, oh, hell no. You don't get to be a man because you declare it. You don't get to be a woman because you declare it. You have to earn the status. You know, so what the hell? You are born male or female. To be a man or a woman, you have to earn the status. To be a lady or a gentleman, that's a matter of refinement, and you have to learn and earn that. And to be masculine and feminine, that's what you are required to do for your social and your biological roles.
Yeah.
So this other freak shit where they just bail on what they're supposed to do because, frankly, they don't have what it takes to deal with their duties and responsibilities. And
Dude,
I'm not.
you gotta come to a summer camp, man.
Damn, see, that ain't even the same thing.
You be a good guy to come to a summer camp, Judge.
Well, let me say this with Macy Gray. I was watching the interview she did with Piers Morgan, and I'm not a fan of him either because I think he's on a white supremacist trip, but also I don't know if you remember he was talking about doing a ban on guns and and there was a movement to kick him out the country. But
how can you be a black man talking about banning guns unless you're a
Piers Morgan isn't black? No, Piers Morgan.
What?
No, I'm talking about Piers Morgan.
Oh, okay.
But Macy Gray, Macy Gray, it has an album coming out, and I was.
How can you be a man and talk about banishing guns? What the hell do you think you are, goddamn cow?
He wants to ban AR-15s. Yeah.
Well, look, he's a goddamn fool. Do you know when Eugene Stoner patented the design that's known as Armalite, not assault rifle? It was in February 1952. That's 70 goddamn years ago. You know when they went on sale to civilians? 1959. Look at that. That is 63 years ago. And people weren't killing each other all that time that these things have been available. This is just these unmanly creeps that don't have socialization and acculturation and masculinity. Hell, AK-47, designed by Comrade General Kalashnikov. They adopted the damn thing in 1947. That's 75 years ago. So this crap isn't new. They've had semi-auto weapons running around in the country from the hunting field since 1906. Excuse me.
Well, I look at
Model 8 and the Winchester edition of a John Browning design. And this crap, they aren't assault weapons, white rifles, because an assault rifle is per se a machine gun.
Well,
these are not machine guns. They just have the basic platform, which is semi-auto. And the reason that everybody likes them is everybody can work on them. They're kind of like a set of Legos for grown men.
Right. And truth be told, they're not used in all gun-related killing.
And if you want to kill somebody, get you an old-time 12-gauge pump shotgun and some buckshot, and you can really put somebody down. Remember, the military, they just went to a brand new caliber, 6.8. Not the old special purpose from 15 years ago, but the 6.8, which in civilian guys is known as the 277 Fury, because they wanted more stopping power, because the AR-15 is a 22 caliber weapon. You can't even hunt deer in most states. Shoot squirrels and rabbits and gophers and stuff like that with it.
Well, I'm going to say something that makes a great thing. I hate just getting on an apology tour because you look here.
Because you offended somebody? Fuck it. They offend me every goddamn time they open their lame, ignorant ass mouth. Did I get an apology? Hell no. Do you get
No.
one? Do you get one?
No. And as a matter of fact, my buddy just moved back from California, back to Richmond, and he said one of the things he couldn't stand in California, he's out there, if you gay, you all right, if you straight, you persecuted.
Yeah. A good friend of mine's son, he's in his 40s now. Hell, he got himself a house. He didn't realize he had all these gay neighbors and they wanted him to put up a rainbow flag. He said, hell no. So they started taking their dogs over there to shit in his yard. So he got mad about it and he videoed what they were doing, which is a violation in Los Angeles. So he caught him putting their dog right in the middle of his yard to take a shit. So he said, hey, man, what the hell are you doing? And they called him the N-word several times. And he called them the F-word. So they ran down to the local precinct out there, Hollywood precinct, and they complained. He wound up getting arrested for a goddamn hate crime. He got 30 days suspended, a $2,500 fine, and 250 hours of community service and 1129 probation. They played the tape. Hell, I heard the tape. They was going in, you know, this, that, and the other. That's all right, but don't call them the F word. What the hell?
So you know something? You want to know something?
Big high. Y'all always get copycat. Also fool nobody, huh?
Yeah. So basically, they could say the word nigger, but if he said the word faggot, that was a problem.
Yeah, that they convicted him of a hate crime.
But he showed the video
all on the tape. They recorded it too. He played his. He said faggot one damn time. And they said the nigger word about 18, 19, 20 times. But that was all right. Judge said, well, that's not a hate crime in California, and you guys call yourselves that all the time anyway.
Speaking of California, Judge, today in California, there was a 7-Eleven, and they said a guy came in 7-Eleven and went to 4 7-Elevens. It was 4 or 5. I think he killed 2 people or hurt 2 people. But this guy went to 4 7-Elevens. It was a slavery day and attacked some people. And this was in California. And I was going to ask you, I don't know if you heard about the 10 and 14-year-old children in Philadelphia that happened to be
killed this 73-year-old guy.
Now you're 75. What do you think about that?
I'd have whipped their ass. See, I've been taking martial arts for 55 years. There'd be some broke up youth. I wouldn't have killed them, but I'd have hurt them bad.
But
broken kneecaps and ulnar radius.
I'm really suspicious of these so-called mass shootings because the last 2 they've shown, Uvalde and this other one out there in Highland Park, Illinois, the guy has a dress on the internet. So if you want to bring it up, can we talk about stop trans hate? You can't say, no, not stop trans hate, stop straight hate. Better yet. Yeah. If those guys wearing dresses, then we need to have a serious conversation. They hurting people too.
Pigpen shit. Pigpen shit. You ever read Orwell's Animal Farm? If you don't feel like reading it, Google Animal Farm animation. The CIA put one out as a propaganda device in 1952. It pretty much follows the dialogue in the book Animal Farm that Orwell wrote. And the animals staged a revolution at a farm, took it over, and they wound up with a constitution they wrote on the side of the barn. It said, all animals are equal. Well, the pigs staged a counter-revolution, and they made an addition. All animals are equal, but pigs are more equal than others. So they made it into a pig pen where the pigs had more rights. So that's what's going on right now. The pigs are trying to make the country into a pig pen where they have rights that nobody else has.
What do you
mean? And think about it. If you're straight and you got on a float in broad daylight going down the middle of a main street in a big city in America with your dick hung out and your ass is out, you're going to jail. All you got to do is hold up a rainbow flag, and that's okay. You can have your dick out, waggle it around, bounce it off the damn float if you want to. But that's okay.
Well, there's no. I mean, look at Well, listen, Judge, you go in San Francisco, they can walk around practically naked in their ordinances with stuff. If you watch some of these, I've seen some of the pictures from some of these pride parades, and you know, I don't why they're not arrested for indecent exposure is beyond me. I mean, when Mardi Gras happens here in New Orleans, I've seen where women flash for beads and they give them beads and nothing really happens. Although they can, and I have seen there have been very rare that some police officers will arrest them, but stuff like that, they can actually walk out there like that and engage in. Some of them engaged in sexual activity.
Mm-hmm. I used to have a condo
Yeah.
in West LA, and I'm up high enough where I can see down where Santa Monica Boulevard is. I was up closer to Wilshire, and they called it the Boys Club, and it always had these gay pride parades, and I'd take some binoculars and look. I said, man, look at that. I said, you never see straight people do that kind of mess. And it wouldn't be all gay people. It was just those LGBTQ cult freaks. And like somebody I worked with who was gay out there said, look, Judge, it's like this. He said, the people that are gay, not all of them support LGBTQ. It's a cult. See, all people who are Islamic, they don't support Al Qaeda and ISIS either. And I laughed when he said this. He said, like you said one time about just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you supported Reverend Jim Jones and drinking Kool-Aid at a church picnic, you know. So just because they are gay doesn't mean they're LGBTQ. And I've had some of my work with expressed to me, it disgusts them because some of the things that LGBTQIA plus, et cetera, stands for are things that hurt them. They don't like that pedophile crap. And they don't like that tranny shit either. Like one guy that was a wardrobe person that wound up working in the show that I was on, he said, you know, these gay guys, they like other guys. They don't like women that way. But here's somebody you think is a guy, he looks kind of gay, you know, like he'd be swinging with you. And it turns out it's got a twat instead of a dick. That ain't what you want. And like I jumped on Malik Yoba, he's talking about he is straight. I said, but didn't you say you like chicks with dicks and tits? Well, yeah, but they're women. I said, it got a dick, it ain't no woman, fool. So where do you put your dick? On her twat or her ass? Or its ass? She said, yeah, it got a dick and you fucking it in his ass. That means your ass is gay. Come on out the closet, dude. This is the 21st century. You don't have to hide.
Wasn't he in the movie Undercover Brother or something like that?
What's that?
He was in that. What is it?
He was in New York. No. He was in New York Undercover.
New York Undercover.
Yeah,
and then
it gives new meaning to the title.
Said he was one of his number one customers when he was the boy.
New York Undercover. That's right. So yeah, he was undercover, or he came out the club, something like that.
Well, he said he likes chicks with tits and dicks, so he's gay.
He hung up on.
If you like to have sex with something with a dick, your ass is gay.
Well, he hung up on the show. I remember listening.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
He hung up. Yeah.
Honk ass ran.
Did you?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I want to ask Bernard. Did you want to talk quickly about that New York law?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it. Yeah.
You mean the one where you have to turn everybody onto your social media?
I thought you were talking about the gun control thing, Bernard.
Yeah, well, that's in the gun control thing. In order to get a permit to get a handgun, you have to surrender your privacy in your social media. So, you know what bothers me with that? You have to get a license and surrender your privacy to exercise your First Amendment rights.
And your Second Amendment rights, yeah.
Do you have to have a permit and surrender any rights to exercise your Fourth Amendment right to be free from warrantless searches and seizures? No. Do you have to surrender any rights and register and get licensed to exercise your Fifth Amendment right to be free from self-incrimination? No. Do you have to surrender, et cetera, any rights in order to exercise your Sixth Amendment right to appeal? No. And then the rest of them don't have to do with that kind of thing, and you don't need a license for that. So why do you need a license for the most important one, which is the right to deal with being an armed citizenry so some fascist assholes can't oppress you?
Yeah.
Well, let me bring something up into that. You see, this is why states like New York and California, why you have so many people leaving, when you have these draconian,
they're backwards. They're ass backwards.
Okay, let me give an example. I lived in California for 15 years, and I lived in Ventura County, and I had a permit to carry a pistol. I lived out there. The sheriff was one of the 3 in the state of California that actually issued them appropriately. You couldn't get one in Los Angeles County unless you contributed to this, that, and the other police association, or you put on a party for Christmas for the sheriff's deputies and police association. You get one that way, but that isn't right. But bottom line is that what the hell do I run into when I go to get ammunition? There was a Big 5 sporting goods store on Wilshire Boulevard right there at La Cienega in Los Angeles. Well, you had to register every box of 22 ammo, 12 gauge shotgun shells, pistol cartridges, anything. If you went 5 miles down Wilshire Boulevard to the Big 5 in Santa Monica, you didn't have to. In Los Angeles County, you couldn't order ammunition for something like a 470 Nitro Express, which I had. You couldn't order stuff for a 505 Gibbs. It's like $25, $30 a shot. And what gangbanger is going to take a 505 Gibbs with 160 foot-pounds of free recoil? Most of them couldn't handle it. Or a 470 Nitro Express, which is a side-by-side double-barrel elephant gun that's going to cost you thousands of dollars to get, and there aren't many around. So gangbangers use this, but in L.A. County, you couldn't order the ammunition, but you could in Ventura County. Get it all day long. So I had a place in L.A. and a place in Ventura County. So I couldn't order it in L.A., but I could order in Ventura County, so I was well off enough financially to have both places, because one was 75, 80 miles away from the other. So it just got to be the height of ridiculousness. I'm the same person, but in one county I can buy it, in the other, oh my God, what do you need something like that for? Well, in case, God damn it, you fools actually pull off a Jurassic Park and there's a goddamn T-Rex stalking around. Hell, what's the problem?
Well, let me say something, because I want to bring something up. That was both of y'all brought up good points on that. I ain't gonna hold you up too long. Been up all day, got to move, got to get up early in the morning. So, but I know Gavin, actually, not just Gavin, you too. But I'm gonna let you finish off on it. Gavin, you were talking about your book. So again, I want you to expand on the judge. Judge knows about it, just for
Yeah, sure. Well, right on. First off, on the judge with the Second Amendment stuff, but New York is one of those places I would never move to. New York and California.
Me either.
I wanted to pursue a career in California with entertainment and stuff, and I'm open to stuff like doing business there. But as far as me living there, the cost of living is so high there too. But
be aware that if you do business in California and you have to pay their taxes, your tax rate is going to be essentially, you will be paying IRS twice, because California is about the same as IRS, and they have stupid stuff since they can't change the tax laws without a 2/3 majority in the House and Senate in Sacramento. I had a Bentley. I had to pay $4,200 a year to register it every year, but since they couldn't raise the regular taxes, they doubled the fee. So it was $8,400 a year to register the damn Bentley, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then what used to get me was they had on your tax form, the individual income tax form, not the corporate one, they have an allotment for mental health. So I was at the top. Last time I paid it, it was $23,000 a year, just lump sum you had to add in on their taxes for mental health. I said, I'll adopt a motherfucker. God damn it, I don't need to pay $23,000. I don't even know the son of a bitches. And then the property tax is ridiculous. I had a ranch with about a 10,000 square foot mansion on it, and I was paying what, $48,000 a year in property taxes. Well, there was this guy down the end of about a quarter of a mile away on the same road. He had a ranch, 36,000 acres and 11,000 herd of cows. And you know what his property tax was a year? $420.
Woo.
Well, he sold his 36,000 acres to a Japanese consortium that gave him a life estate. And when I left, he was in his mid-90s, so he doesn't have too much longer to go. And the Japanese consortium intends to build a $35 million country club on this 36,000 acres. And guess what? Since they let him keep a life estate in the property, their tax rate is going to be $420 a year on a $35 million country club and 36,000 acres of land. See, that's how screwed up California is. That's what's wrong with this bullshit about reparations in California. They can't afford it. Not only can they, well, you'll appreciate this one. California's so damn broke, they can't even keep their courts open but 3 days out of the week but for the fact that the judges donate 1/4 of their salaries back so they can keep them open 4 days out of the week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but not Tuesday. So how in the hell are they going to afford reparations? They can't even afford to keep the courts open.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then Gavin, since you got a book out, I like you go ahead twice, and then he's gonna promote his thing.
Tell us about the book. You told me about it, but the people need to hear about it.
Judge, I actually sent you a courtesy copy of the book. I don't know if you had a chance to read it yet, but I sent it to you and Tariq Nasheed. But for everybody about the book,
frankly, I haven't got it yet. I've been waiting on it.
Oh, I had emailed it to you.
Oh, email. Oh, well, okay.
I did a PDF version of it to you.
Okay, well, I'll look. Send me your email as a text if you don't mind. I'll have to put it in. I have so many damn unread emails.
Well, I'll resend it to you all. But the book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States, is a book. I guess you could call it a criminal justice book, but true crime, although I wouldn't call it a true crime thing. I think it was a true lie in what they did to Dr. Cosby in that courtroom in Montgomery County. And not just there, but even in the media and the press, what happened to him. What I go through in the book, as I describe why we have, first off, due process. We have the presumption of innocence, and that was started in an old Supreme Court case from the 1800s. We have that there because it is up to the government. If they're saying that a person has done something, then they have the burden of proving that. And if they cannot do that, then that person is found not guilty. We have reasonable doubt in this country that
person remains not guilty. Remember, there's presumption of innocence until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And that presumption remains and stands as a witness for the accused throughout the proceedings until it is removed by clear, competent, cogent, and credible proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yes. And that came from the case of Coffin versus the United States. Uh, and we talk about that in the book. The other thing we talk about too is some of the older cases like Shepard versus Maxwell, Fatty Arbuckle versus the state of California, where he, like Bill Cosby, went to some of these parties, one of these wild parties out in San Francisco. And tragically, there was a young woman, Virginia Rape, who died. And because Fatty Arbuckle,
Ruptured spleen or something like that from
right.
allegedly being bounced on.
Yeah, but there's the actual
Allegedly.
it's alleged, but even they're alleging that she actually died from a botched abortion. Uh, that has also come out. But the point being with Fatty Arbuckle, his career was derailed as a result of those allegations, and he was actually tried 3 times. And on the third trial, it took the jury only 15 minutes to acquit him, and they spent 10 of those minutes writing a letter apologizing to him for what happened. But the damage was done. And what we see with Dr. Cosby, and just relating it to that, is as with Shepard v. Maxwell, that's an old Supreme Court case that dealt with the right to a fair trial. The circus that was in that trial was the same here with Dr. Cosby.
I was embarrassed as a judge by the person presiding over Cosby's trial. That was such an inept performance.
That was William O'Neill.
It was embarrassingly poor.
Yeah, that was William O'Neill, and there was a lot of stuff with that. He let a juror allegedly say, "We can all go home. He's guilty." During voir dire, they asked the juror about this. The judge confronted him. The juror didn't confirm or deny, but the judge, if he wanted to, could have dismissed the juror for cause.
I would have dismissed it outright. What I would have just done is exercised the court's authority and noted it was for cause, and not even just gone through, gentlemen, submit your challenges, and that person would have been excused to begin with. You're out of here.
Yeah, and he could have done that. He also allowed
let those half-naked women run around in the presence, in the view of his jurors, topless with red lipstick, talking about he's guilty, and a loud outburst without punishment in his court, inside the court.
Yeah. And we go into that. We also go into the accusers. That's the Amazon link there where everybody can go. It's available on Kindle and purchase it for $9.99. But we go through the accusers because we got to remember this too. When W. Kamau Bell did this mockumentary, because it's not a documentary, and I call him W. Kamau Dumbbell. He had all of these women. He had these women on here accusing Dr. Cosby of wrongdoing. But some of the women he had on there, their stories had already been discredited. A lot of stuff that they were listing all of the accusers, like they list 63 accusers, 23 accusers, 100. Their stories have been discredited. The one woman who I have in there, I have several women in there, but you got to keep in mind also some of the women admit by their own acknowledgement they had a relationship with the man.
We'll bring up Sean Watson next time.
Yeah, they continue to see him. The woman, Teresa Serignice, she was one of the Jane Does. She actually said she went up after his show in Las Vegas. She went up to the green room and supposedly gave her a pill she took voluntarily. She tells her mother what happens. She wakes up, I guess, half naked and goes and tells her mom, and her mom tells her, well, see what you can get out of it. Now, what mother would say that if your child... Yeah. Well, thank you, Judge.
Money grabbing, gold digging hoe.
Right. She wanted...
Allegedly.
But she continued to talk to him, go to his condos and stuff. Even got money from him when she had difficulty in the 90s with her. I think she had a car accident, and she got money from Cosby. But we talk about that. Remember, also, Bill Cosby was the victim of an extortion plot in 1997, around the same time his son was killed. We talk about that. one of the accusers, or the accuser of that girl, is the girl who did it, Autumn Jackson. Her mother is an accuser, but she didn't bring this up in the 90s when her daughter was being was being arrested for extorting Cosby. And it wasn't just the daughter, it was her fiance and a couple other two other Ukrainian Russian men that were involved in that. And remember, Enos was murdered by a Ukrainian Russian immigrant, supposedly. So there have been questions about his death. I mentioned some stuff like that. We also talked about who would be behind this, some of the things that were there, how the role of the media. We talk about Hannibal Buress's role, and I think Hannibal Buress was, from all intents and purposes, he was paid to do that, because I can tell you as a comedian, and I say this to you, Judge, and to you, Bernard, if you do a set list, comedians sometimes will act off of the set list, but sometimes they'll deviate from it. So whoever was recording that set, no, I'm not going to spoil the rest of the book.
Don't spoil the book. I want to read it.
Read it.
Looking forward to it. Speaking of extortion, are you aware that UPS is no longer delivering gun parts from
I'm going to tell you that, Gavin.
suppliers? Did you get a chance to read the letter that these 5 Democratic senators sent to UPS? That shit qualifies as extortion. It's felonious, and they ought to be prosecuted.
Gavin, when he's talking about UPS not going to deliver gun parts because they talking about they want to fight gun control or something like that. UPS.
Yeah, but what it is UPS will no longer deliver gun parts, but the bad side of it is anything that was already in shipment, UPS indicated they would seize and destroy. So
they give out
good money for parts, scopes, things like that, several $1,000s a whack. So all your stuff is getting destroyed. FedEx still delivers, but UPS got extorted. So those 5 U.S. senators ought to be prosecuted for extortion.
What can Brown do for you?
What's that?
What can Brown do for you? Destroy your stuff.
I haven't seen the letter.
Yeah, I can find it. I sent it to you. I sent it to you if I can go ahead and find it.
Well, yeah, it's. I went and did a little bit of research, and I fortunately didn't have anything. So I know, for example, SIG, and I ordered something from them, a Red Dot site, and another couple of items. And Brownells had a bunch of stuff seized by UPS that was in shipment that is to be destroyed. Midway is going to be using FedEx from now on, and apparently Brownells and Surefire and other places like that. So the post office won't ship such things except raw, isolated parts. And what they are trying to do is, there's nothing against the law with buying an AR upper or boat carriers or stuff like that, but now they're trying to keep them from being shipped. And with the ammo shortages and things like that, this is just a concerted effort to disarm the American public, and crap like in New York where you have to grant access to your social media. I understand the concern with the whack jobs, but the same people that want that are to a great deal responsible for generating those whack jobs. So, what the hell? We're supposed to be disarmed, and if you're disarmed, then you need a more totalitarian system to protect you. And remember, the assholes on the far left are running around talking about defund the police. So they want more authoritarian fascisti to be running stuff to protect their rights, but not anybody else's. And somehow or another, they're supposed to be safe if everybody is disarmed, but hell, they can still get ass kicked. And by the way, that new Emmett Till anti-lynch bill does not require a killing. It says killing, beating, or kidnapping. And it doesn't require a mob or a crowd anymore. It can be one person. So one guy is dancing with a freak.
Got warrant out for her arrest. It said got warrant.
Yeah, well, see, one guy breaks up with his old lady. He's in a club dancing with what he thinks is a fine babe, and the fine babe gets a hard on. He busts him in the mouth, and that becomes federal lynching now. He didn't kill him, but he beat him.
So they basically watered it down. Anybody?
No, it ain't watered down. What it did is they included 3 categories: race, religion, and sexual orientation, which is the first time that goes into the federal legal lexicon.
But I'm saying it. When I say watered down, when you say Emmett Till lynching bill, we know what happened with Emmett. And when you're adding other stuff to it, it waters it down for black folk.
Well, it
like the Civil Rights Act
deal with lynching because it doesn't require a killing, and everything necessary to deal with lynching is already on the books. And by the way, the Tuskegee Institute, and I'm not talking about that observation of people infected with syphilis. It wasn't an experiment. It was an observation. I'm not talking about that, but Tuskegee Institute for a century had been running a study on lynchings. According to them, the last lynching in the United States occurred in 1964. It was 2 white kids and 1 black kid down here in Mississippi.
We're talking about Schwerner, Goodman, and Cheney.
Yeah, so since then, there hasn't been a lynching. And I talked to Emmett Till's mother personally on several occasions, total of several hours. And there's a lady I wrote the foreword for her book. She's the foremost researcher on the Till situation. They were of the firm opinion it wasn't a lynching, it was just a plain murder.
Okay.
So let me it's both.
Well, they got it. Well, the funny thing about you mentioned Emmett Till, they found an old warrant for Miss Bryant's arrest.
But it's interesting on that. The prosecutor in the area, the district down in Mississippi, is black. He's Republican, and he doesn't want to touch it. But this is what he ought to touch because hell, the time's right. Mississippi set the precedent for prosecuting the old man for killing Medgar Evers. They convicted him. And this woman, Beckwith, yeah. And this woman has an outstanding warrant. And in Mississippi, the only real way to get rid of it is for the black guy who is the district attorney to go in front of a judge and ask that it be dismissed unless it's expired, but it's for murder. So that wouldn't necessarily expire. And the other thing is he needs to go after her because remember, the Democrats haven't done a damn thing except mess up. So this is a chance for the Republican Party to get some brownie points with the colored folk by going after her to bring justice finally. He can submit it to a grand jury, and the grand jury can say, we don't buy it, no true bill, and get it off of his back, or he can go forth and really do it. And, you know, it used to be you didn't mess with old women, but now feminism has destroyed that paradigm. So go after her ass. It's a win-win situation, whether you get an indictment or not.
Well, so, that warrant.
By the way, the NBA Black Bar is having a meeting here in July. I'm on a panel as a speaker, and I intend to say something about the missed opportunities that black lawyers are responsible for when they get to be DAs and they don't go after somebody like this guy doesn't, or like we had a guy, Stanton III here in Memphis, who was Obama Tang's U.S. attorney, and he got promised a judgeship by the Republicans. So for 7 years, he didn't do shit. And when Trump won, What'd they do? They withdrew his name, submitted a nondescript white lawyer, and he got approved inside of a week and a half. So he gave up his opportunity to make a mark in history, to slay some giants. And we have to stop that. And by the way, I don't know what the hell is going on with the NBA. I'm supposed to be on a panel talking about justice and stuff, and guess who they have as one of the speakers?
Who?
Steve Harvey. He ain't a lawyer and he ain't a judge, so what the hell is he supposed to be on a panel with a bunch of judges for?
I was a judge on television, Judge. I got my own damn show. I got a show just like you. I'm just like
yeah, it wasn't like me. I got declared by the California Supreme Court to actually be a qualified arbitrator under California law, and they ruled everything 23-page written opinion.
Guess what, Judge?
I was doing was under the arbitration, mediation, and judicial statutes.
I arbitrate all the time. I arbitrate on ABC all the damn time. Survey said, Judge Steve Harvey.
Wow.
Hell, my niece used to let him sleep in his car in her driveway when he was homeless.
Yeah, Steve Harvey was homeless at one time. I've heard, he's talked about that.
Yeah.
Let me bring up something right here.
To let him sleep in her driveway.
So you got a book and you got Creole seasoning. I
want to read that book. I want to read the book.
But no, I'm talking about you now.
Yeah, I'm talking about.
No, you run it. You got barbecue sauce and you running for mayor. Let's talk about it.
Oh yeah, I deliver service and I sell sauce.
Fine.
Service and sauce.
But you running for mayor too, supposedly, right?
Well, they recruited me. These sorry son of a bitches they've got around here, just incompetent without a clue. And you know what? 3 weeks ago, they released a survey. Memphis is declared to have the most inept, incompetent, and inadequate administrative management of a large city in the entirety of the United States. They're at the bottom of the heap with their sorry asses, and they can do a lot better.
Well, you need to see what you can do to make things better because they need a man up.
Oh, I know how I can make it better. These guys just don't think. They're all trying to get crumbs under the table.
Don't Tennessee got a Ford plant coming? Because it's mighty funny because I was reading something today about GM.
Oh, yeah, the Ford plant's going to hire 27,500 people. It's located in a township that has exactly 5,200 residents, and 1,600 of them would be eligible for working in the factory. So one of the county mayors bought 550 acres of property where the downtown's going to be located. They're going to have to build a town of 150,000 people in 5 years, which is billions of dollars. And they're trying to discourage black folk from Memphis moving up there because they don't want the dynamics of a very gerrymandered district being thrown out for the 8th congressional district. The next bloody thing is some of the usual sharks that profiteer didn't want it in Memphis because the property values here, rentals and purchase prices would be exorbitant compared to what you'd pay for some rural farmland. And the governor of the state of Tennessee has a heavy investment in the company that will be making battery parts for Ford.
Well, it's mighty funny you saying that because GM.
And wait a minute, the colored boy who runs the NAACP intervened to jump in it, and without checking with the town government, he decides he's going to settle this case. NAACP jumps in and he's getting money under the table. So he decides he wants to settle it. So the resolution, the township would dismiss its lawsuit. The mayor is a physician who just got in it because of the previous corruption. So they have an overwhelming majority of black residents in the town. They had a small minority of whites that ran it corruptly for 25 years, stole a whole bunch of money. So the resolution is the residents of the town paid the state back the money that these fools stole, and nobody prosecutes them, and they're supposed to give up their claims in the lawsuit. Yeah, shyster. And then the city mayor, county mayor, the one they have right now, he's black here in Shelby County. He's got a problem because he and the state comptroller have been raiding the county clerk's treasury every night and putting the money in a general fund, and it's not supposed to be because they are earmarked federal funds and you can't commingle them, but they did, and the clerk finally found out where the hell her money was going.
Well, I tell you one thing,
Jail
Bill,
time.
we got to like I said, it's man up time, another man up Monday as they call it, right? And hey, y'all man up. So I want y'all to make sure y'all get in contact with Gavin, so people can reach out to you.
Yeah.
And Cash out Gavin Scott Esquire as well. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
And Judge, they can reach you at where at, sir?
You can get me at Judge Joe Brown TV on Twitter. And if you want the best damn barbecue sauce you've ever had, Judge Joe Brown, JJB Barbecue, BBQ. So that's JJB and two more B's, BBQ.com, and order yourself some. It'll be on the shelves at various retail establishments by the end of the summer or the middle of the summer, but get a jump. Stuff's good. You'll never have bought any better anywhere unless maybe your granddad made some, and I doubt it's going to be any better. So get yourself some. And you need to deal with get Gavin Richard's book. Counselor is a very thoughtful person, and I'm looking forward to reading his musings.
Yes, and you can get the book on Amazon Kindle, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby Jr., The Destruction of Due Process in the United States. Judge, I'm going to send the book to you tonight as soon as we get off. And tomorrow, you can also follow me on my live stream tomorrow on channel GBoo2786. And you can follow me on Twitter at GavinRich2786. Tomorrow, I'll be talking about, well, first off, tomorrow will mark Dr. Cosby's birthday, actually. Bill Cosby will be 85, so I'll talk about that. Also, we'll be discussing some stuff that happened out in California. A girl fell out of her mother's truck out in California, as well as the stuff that happened with Biden's press conference yesterday, where he was confronted, or earlier today, he was confronted by a Parkland father about gun control. And I'll be talking about that. So,
well, that's good. And I hope y'all, like I said, you can give me a King BJ Johnson right here, Bernard 1120 on Instagram, $1919 BJ Cash if you want to donate, and Bernard Johnson Facebook. Like I said, hey, it's been a crazy time, but I'm glad to have these two gentlemen, talking to me right now. Oh, let me put this up for you one more time. You just put it up. That's the book again. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And that's on Amazon Kindle.
$9.99.
$9.99. So
not expensive. So,
and
reading is fundamental.
Well,
hey, before it's illegal.
hey, well, it ain't illegal, but it's a lot of us that don't read because we're scared to read and find out anything. So,
and you ain't R. Kelly. Read.
Wow. But y'all take your time, brother. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Yes, sir.